economic calendar, we had the PPI, or the Producer Price Index, and we had the jobless claims. So the continuing jobless claims came in at 1.81 million people that are or the total number of unemployment, versus 1.814 million expected, and this is down from 1.823 million as of last week. And then the initial jobless claims was higher than expected at 239,000 layoffs this week compared to 232,000 last week. And this is up from 228,000 the week before. So slight uptick in initial jobless claims. We're still seeing continuing jobless claims above 1.8 million, which we haven't seen since December of 2021. So jobless claims not looking pretty. People are losing their jobs. Obviously, they're not going to have as much money to spend throughout the economy. Earnings could be pretty brutal towards the end of the year once more and more people start to get laid off. But probably not going to take effect until next quarter, most likely. This earnings season, I would expect to be pretty muted. And then the core PPI, or the PPI report that came out this morning, was actually better than expected, down 0.1% month over month for the core PPI versus 0.3% expected. And this is down from 0.2% positive last month in February. And then the year-over-year reading came in at just 3.4% versus 4.8% last month. And this was expected at 3.4%. So a small beat, or a meet on core PPI year-over-year, a beat on month-over-month core PPI, and then the regular PPI came in at pretty significantly lower, with PPI coming in at 3.6% versus 4.5% expected, and then the month-over-month reading negative 0.5%, so a significant decline in PPI month-over-month versus 0 last month and 0.1% expected. So that is your data read for this morning. I'm still feeling somewhat bearish, mostly because of the trading ranges that we've been in. I don't think that we're going to get out of these trading ranges. So you're looking at that 410 resistance level that we've been under for most of the last couple of weeks, right? We've had a couple pops above it where we went to 412.35. So that would be an easier short to take on below 412, but I think that we're going to stay below 410 today is my best guess. Right now we're at 409.35, so you could do a call credit spread assuming below 410 if you're taking on the same assumption as me. But I think we're going to just get a lot of this back and forth, probably between 410 and maybe like 406, which has been a support for, 3 times now. So that would be my guess by the end of today. I would be more skewed to the bearish side, maybe assuming that we would be below the morning lows at like 408 right before the PPI report, but we shall see. Right now we're at 409.30, so not really changing much so far in the morning. But we hit that 410 mark, and now we're starting to pull back here, so I think I'll take that trade on for a day trade. Yeah, it looks like we already came down from that. Lucky me getting in late. Always late to the party. All right. We're below 50 on the RSI, so that's signaling to me that we're going bearish. I'll probably open 5-6 of these, probably 5 of them, risking same usual 400 or so. They're paying $26 in credit to pop. Right now we're below 409, so let me try to get into this before they get too cheap and skew the risk reward up. All right, I got filled on all 5. Sweet. So again, my assumption, we're going to be below 410 today. I might even open a put credit spread depending on how low we go here. If we do go lower, then I would want to pick up some put credit spreads, assuming that we're not going to go much lower. Just opened a new SPY call credit spread expiring today. Today is the 13th. And I opened them at 25 a pop. So, again, I think we're just going to be rangy until we get something more major, I guess. Even the CPI yesterday kind of didn't really move us much. I mean, we started the day at 414 right after CPI, right? And then we ended the day at 406, but the daily change was only negative 0.3%. So we're not really seeing much day-to-day movement, but we're seeing a ton of intraday movement. So it's kind of screwing with us, especially the VIX, currently below 19 at the moment. All this back and forth with all of the probably gamma squeezes from all the zero data expiration options that are being traded. Probably not helping, but yeah, I think we're going to be staying below 410 today. Staying in our little range that we've found ourselves in for the last 2 weeks. So we'll see how this plays out. Good morning. Discord, do they have access to the announcements? Should have access to the announcements. The trades that I make are only available for the premium trading. So you can sign up for that at the top here. I can also send the link if you're already in the Discord. If you're not already in the Discord, you have to join it first and then use this link. Otherwise, it does not work. Gamma squeezes is basically whenever people are buying a ton of calls, the market makers have to hedge those positions by buying shares of the stock, because whenever they're selling a call option to you, they're making an agreement to sell 100 shares. So once those options start to get in the money, then they have to hedge those positions by buying the shares. So if they're buying hundreds of shares because everybody is buying calls all of a sudden because the markets are going up for the last 30 minutes or so, then you're going to get a continuation of that move, right? So like we saw yesterday, initially we saw a lot of people buying, and then like immediately upon opening, we were selling off. So you're probably getting a lot of people. You might have like some profit takers up here since we're close to that 412 mark, which has been the range that we've been in for 2 weeks. So you probably got some profit selling. And then you had people starting to buy puts because we were going down so quickly. So now that everybody is buying puts, the market makers have to hedge those positions once those puts become in the money by selling shares of the stock, because whenever they are, buying, whenever they're selling these puts, they're making an agreement to buy 100 shares from you, right? So now they have to short those 100 shares just in case they have to fill that obligation later on. So you're going to get these like small gamma squeezes from all these zero data expiration options, especially on a day like CPI. Obviously, there's a lot more trading volume on a day like CPI than you would normally get. Yesterday we had 86 million shares traded. We really haven't seen that much volume ever since March 31st, which I'm not sure. I don't remember what the catalyst was on March 31st, but a lot more trading volume than usual yesterday. So there was more gamma squeezes to be had, more trading action during the day. Did I study finance in college? No, I studied computer science in college, and I ended up dropping out. So can I show the trade that I just opened? Yeah, give me a second. What's my play today? Assuming that we're going to be below 410 with a call credit spread. Thoughts on the Fed and what they said about a mild recession yesterday? I think that's been pretty obvious to most of the public for like the last, God knows how long, like 3-6 months. It's nice that they're finally admitting and caving into the soft landing narrative. But I do think that it's going to be more than a soft landing personally. I think that jacking rates up from 0 to 4.5% is going to put a lot of businesses at huge risks, a lot of banks at huge risks. Lending is going to go down the drain if banks are failing. So there's a lot more to it than just a mild recession, in my opinion. But it's good that they're starting to open up to the idea of a recession, and that might be part of the reason as to why we ended up selling off around 2 o'clock, because that's when that report came out. The Fed minutes came out about 2 o'clock, but we didn't really start selling off till about 2:15. The major sell-off came around 2:30. So whether it was due to the fear of recession fed by the Fed, not really too sure, but probably had some degree of making that sell-off happen, I would guess. Gold is at 190, so you're definitely getting some recession fears right now. I think the dollar is down to below 101 for the dollar index, the Dixie. So yeah, you're definitely getting some recession fears as of right now, but surprisingly, the dollar didn't really move. It did a little bit, 101.50 down to 101.45 after the Fed minutes. And today, the dollar is really headed down, currently at 100.86, down 0.6%. Usually, you don't see the dollar down more than about 0.5%, but yeah, that would be recessionary, especially with gold going up. Let's see. And then the VIX still at 19, not really changing much. And oil, I keep losing my mouse over here on this. There we go. Oil is actually slightly down 0.5%, but still kind of hanging above that $80 level that we've found ourselves in after the OPEC cuts. All right, we're at 409.50 for SPY, so we'll see. We got some support at 50 on the RSI, so we could end up moving here to the upside. Do I do this every day? Yes, every weekday at least, whenever the markets are open. JP Morgan earnings trade. Are they reporting this week or the next week? I think they're one of the later ones, but let me see. Earnings is scheduled for 4/14, so it is tomorrow actually. I think that bank earnings are going to be pretty bad, given that the housing demand has really slowed down because of the higher interest rates. They're going to have less revenue coming in, selling less mortgages. So I think that banks are in a pretty troublesome spot in terms of the earnings, but given that they already sold off a ton after the SVB meltdown, I think they're going to be pretty neutral, unless they're forecasting really bad signs in the future, like the next year going into a recession. Obviously, forecast wouldn't be rosy. So there could be some more downside. My guess, though, would be either neutral or downside. So I would probably do call credit spreads for JP Morgan and all the banks alike. JP Morgan, I would say there's some good resistance at about 130. If you want to play it a little bit safer, you could go like 132. And it hasn't broken out of that range ever since the Silicon Valley Bank meltdown. And then Delta Airlines is the one that reported today. Let's see, DAL. Currently trading at 33.45, down about 1% this morning, even after yesterday's sell-off. They ended up missing on the earnings at 25 cents. The revenue ended up coming in, let's see, at $12.8 billion. So if we go to my notes on Notion for this week's earnings plays, 12.05 billion was expected. They did 12.8, so they beat on revenue. They missed on earnings, so that's going to give us 32.5 as a potential support for Delta Airlines for this week. So I could end up opening a trade here. Given that we're down 1%, you might actually get a little bit more credit out of it, and that could be a decent hedge for my bearish position on SPY. Loan officer business has doubled in April compared to the Fed in March. Interesting. People are buying homes a lot. And yeah, you did see a lot of uptick, like month over month, I would say, in home buying for sure, but that was also led by mostly the mortgage rates coming down to like a 2-month low. So there's a lot of aggregate demand in the housing market to where whenever you see a small drop in the mortgage rates, there's going to be that much more buyers because there's still a lot of people that have enough money to put down a decent down payment. There's still people that have a ton of savings throughout the last couple of years that they can spend on a new home. So yeah, whenever you get the tick down in the mortgage rates, you're going to get some more buying, but it's not going to be as substantial as it was, say, a year ago. And that's really what you're going to have to compare the home prices to and all these bank earnings that are coming in. All right. Let's head on over to Robinhood. Probably going to be down in the IWM trade, but hopefully positive on the SPY call credit spread that I opened. Slightly down $40, but this is the call credit spread that I opened this morning, assuming that SPY is going to be below 410 today. I ended up selling the 410 call, buying the 411. Again, my assumption is that we're just going to stay range bound, probably not going to break to the upside, probably not going to break to the downside. For the last couple weeks of trading action, it's been between 406 and 410. So that would be my guess. Maybe we can meet in the middle at like 408. It's about $1 down from where we're trading right now. So you could even open an iron butterfly. That'll probably be an even better risk reward ratio than what you'll get out of this call credit spread that I opened. It does seem like we're getting a little bit of bottoming action right around 408.80 as of right now. You got some supports right around 408.50 from yesterday, 408.25, somewhere around there, where we ended up bottoming before the huge rally and then dropping after that. So we'll keep monitoring where we're headed here. Looking at IWM 177 up 0.6%. So QQQ and IWM are doing pretty well today after yesterday's free fall. With QQQ up 0.9%, IWM is up 0.6%. Let's see the ranges for these bad boys too. QQQ found that support right around 313 that it's been trading above and catching some lows at for the last couple of weeks. So we could even hedge with put credit spread for QQQ, assuming over 313 by the end of today. Might not be a bad trade, but we're trading at 316, so the risk reward for that trade probably wouldn't be great, considering that we're trading about 1% higher than that. But we'll see where we head here. We're trading at right before where we were for the Fed at 316. So we'll see if this acts as resistance or if we keep popping higher. It looks like RSI is leading us higher to where we might see like 317. Unless we get a pullback. We did pull back to 50 on the RSI and ended up bouncing right off of that. So there is a lot of bullish sentiment for Qs today. And then looking at SPY, I think it was just about the same. We're right at 50 RSI. And the DAL is actually leading us to the downside. Looks like interest rates are coming down today, actually, with 10-year at 3.376, so below 3.4 again. If we go over to the 2-year yield, this is currently 3.9 flat, down by 7.1 basis points this morning. So a decent drop in the 2-year yield, the 10-year yield, so yields are coming down. Let's check on the rate odds from the FOMC countdown tool, see where we stand in terms of pausing or 25 basis points. That's going to dictate where the interest rates go in the short term. Looks like odds for 25 basis points is actually dropping. Yesterday it was at 70% at the end of the day. Currently it's at 60%. So the PPI this morning ended up increasing the odds of the Fed pausing at the next meeting on May 3rd. So that's somewhat positive for the market. And that's probably why you're getting some bullish action, especially for the Qs today. If interest rates are slowing down and yields are pulling back, that's going to have a positive effect on high growth names especially. So that's why you're seeing QQQ up 0.75%, whereas the DAL is actually leading negative 0.05%. I think next week we could be in the downtrend, possibly. I think it really depends on getting out of this range that we've been in. Until we get below like 406 or so, I don't think that we'll be in a significant downtrend. Yeah, I would need it be under 410 to make max profit for it by the end of today. Opened an iron butterfly yesterday for SPY. Took profits this morning. It's a pretty good strategy to open them like 3 o'clock and then close them like first thing in the morning. Usually you don't move more than like $1 in either direction. So yeah, if you opened a 409 iron butterfly, $1 above where we closed at 408 yesterday, that would have been perfect. And that's usually what happens. Usually whenever you have a down day, you can trade to the opposite side, do like a $1 up, and then if it's a green day, usually it'll be negative the next morning, down like $1, and then you can just kind of alternate between that. It seems to be a pretty repetitive cycle that we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. Right now we're at 409.07. So these should be going for about 30 cents a pop, I think. Yeah, 28 cents right now. So we're retesting the 409 level. We're right at 50 for the RSI, so this could determine whether we go bearish on the RSI or not here. QQQ is still bullish at 66. Let's see what the big names are doing, the big wigs. Apple is trading at 163, geez. Up from 160 at close yesterday, just about. So up almost 2% for Apple. Significant move to the upside, catching supports at that 160 level. Microsoft up 0.7%. Tesla is up 2%. And let's see, Microsoft, another name, 0.7. NVIDIA is actually flat today, interesting enough. I think there's a new ETF, Big T, which is big tech. I think it's only like 5 different stocks, like FANG or something like that. What the heck is this? I don't need this. Yes, I want to close my support panel. But yeah, big tech, this is a brand new ETF. I think it's just FANG, and it's been trading pretty flat the last couple trading days since it was listed at 24.76. Now it's at 24.50. So you can use this as a kind of a monitor of where big tech is trading rather than going through each individual one. And last couple of trading days, it's been yesterday was a big fall for it. From 24.87 to 24.25 at the low. But there's not a lot of trading volume on this. Like the trading volume is 200 every 5 minutes. Let's see. And for the last hour of trading, only 5,000 shares traded. So it's not super reliable in terms of trading action, I would say. You'd want a lot more volume, substantial volume, to really see where the trend is going. Jim Cramer ETFs, LGIM and SGIM. Yeah, I've heard of the inverse Cramer ETF. They finally made that. And then you also have inverse Cathy Woods, the SARK. Down 3% this morning. You're seeing a lot of the small cap names especially getting hit. A lot of the names that did really well in 2021 are just brutally getting slaughtered. Like Nikola is trading at $1. And it really doesn't even have that much trading action. Like yesterday, you only fell 10 cents. And the volume is so pitifully low. Jesus. Other names that have been doing horribly, BNGO, one of the investments I made last year, Maps, trading at 65 cents. So you're seeing a lot of these SPACs and a lot of small caps just basically getting erased. All right, these are going for break even now. I opened 5 at 25. Now they're trading for, I guess, 27, so a little bit less than break even, but Weed Maps is celebrating Cannabis 420 through a launch of 20 days of deals. How about we celebrate with sending our share price up? Yeah, this has been abysmal. Even the past month, this has fallen like 30%. Penny stocks are just even brutally getting slaughtered the past month. Let's see. Gold is trading at 190 for GLD now. So a new high for GLD. Let's see if this is a new... No, we're still right off the mark for seeing a new all-time high for GLD. About $4 away from that. With the recession fears amplifying after what the Fed said yesterday, though, that's what you're probably getting a rally on right now for gold. But yeah, we're right below 410, currently at 409 for SPY. Not really moving much from here. QQQ was pulling back a little bit, but now it seems to be coming back up to 316 again. So we'll see where we head from here. It's at 70 on the RSI, so bullish momentum going on. But the Dow is negative right now, so that's holding SPY back at the moment. I think that the Dow is probably negative just because airlines probably getting the hit this morning after Delta's earnings coming in worse than expected. United is flat. Delta down 2% now. Jesus. American is down 1%. So seeing the pullback in the airline names right now after Delta's report. But tech is leading the way, especially with Apple up 3% this morning, or 2% this morning. I wonder if we'll get some profit taking for Apple since it's up so much, 1.72%, or if people will just keep on buying the dip since it caught that support at 160. How was Delta? They ended up beating on their revenue, but they ended up missing on the earnings. Currently, they're down by 2.7%. I think that they're going to stay above 32.5, but you're only like 30 cents away from that, so that could end up blowing up pretty quickly. thinking about opening a 408 iron butterfly, but I don't know. Assuming that SPY is going to go down $1 just seems to be so difficult these days. Intraday, just because of the fluctuations that you get. It's hard to get a decent move for it. But let me see what I can get for risk reward on iron butterfly, assuming 408. I'd probably go 3 strike prices wide. So assume that we'll be below 411, but above 405. And for that, you get paid a total of 176 to risk 122. That's a pretty good trade. Obviously, we need SPY to come down by $1 for that to work out, but I think we can manage. All right, I'm going to do this at 177. I might be able to get 178 or 180, hopefully. But, oh, that bid just dropped on me to 175. All right, I put in the order for 177 with the 408 iron butterfly. I'm probably just going to take profits as soon as we get to 408. All right, we're at 409 right now. This is a day trade. Premium. Just opened a new SPY iron butterfly. Expiring 4/13 is today's date at 177. All right. So that means that my break evens would be 411 minus 177, 409.23. I'm a little bit above where we're trading right now, and 405 plus that, 406.77 by the end of today. But yeah, it looks like we're flushing for Delta right now. QQQ is still getting some support at 316 though. Still pushing up here. Delta improved their guidance for the summer. I mean, there's usually more summer travel, so that makes sense that they would increase guidance for like Q2. But if you're comparing that like year-over-year Q2, it's probably not going to be good. Am I bullish or bearish for today? Bearish to neutral. So I'm assuming that we're going to stay range bound. Probably not going to go above 410. QQQ currently is bullish though, so that could end up leading the markets into that 410 mark here. Yeah, if you're betting with the trend, I would definitely assume QQQ would go up, so that would be bullish. But SPY is basically neutral, 57 on the RSI, so still above 50 right now. So this could be a double bounce that you got at about 408.70, depending on where Q's goes at this 316, 317 level. This was a resistance yesterday that it ended up selling off pretty majorly from. So we'll see if that's the same today, if we just keep on getting the buying pressure up. Yeah, NASDAQ QQQ is up 1% now, 1.03%. Wouldn't be too surprised if QQQ keeps pushing momentum here. Oh, that's a put spread. I need a call spread. That's going for 43 cents to assume it'll be above 317 end of day. So yeah, if you get this more bullish trading action at the 76 RSI, probably going to break that 317 mark pretty quickly. And these are somewhat cheap. They're only 45 cents a piece as of right now. But yeah, this is mostly being led by Apple, now up 2% to 163.23. Fueling the rally today. IWM not feeling as much of the love as QQQ though. Only up 0.5, 0.6% versus Q's 1.1% now. God dang it. I keep on putting put credit spreads instead of call debit spreads. Oh, so that's going for 55, so I was wrong. A little bit more expensive than I thought it was for the QQQ calls. Could even do a regular call, assuming over 317 you'd be paying 200 for the 315 call right now. You got to pull back on the initial test of yesterday's highs at 1 o'clock. So we'll see if we pull back more or if we keep pushing that mark. And that's at 316.70-ish, 316.66. Roughly. On this candle, the high was 316.67 actually. So the markets were probably going to be looking for that because that's where we pivoted yesterday. There's a lot of buying volume going into it, so if volume ends up coming down, you'd probably end up holding that 316 level. Usually what happens whenever you get these resistance and supports, if you have increasing volume after the break, usually you'll retest it, but if you have decreasing volume after the break, usually you'll end up holding above for resistance, and then the opposite for supports. So we were trading at 314 and we had high volume going in and then low volume after, we'd be below 314. Close 410. Could be. How's my app coming along? Still working on it right now. Developer said that hopefully we can have it done in the next couple weeks, but not too sure on that. He's having to redo the back end by himself. He hired someone to do the back end, and now he's having to do it himself, so we'll see how long it ends up taking him. The person that was doing the back end before didn't understand options too well, but the developer I have working on it does, so hopefully he can do a little bit of a better job on the back end than the previous developer. All right, we're pushing 409.80 for SPY right now, so we're getting close to 410 mark. That's where we initially tested right after the PPI report and the jobless claims this morning. So obviously going to be a resistance, especially with the round 410 number. But yeah, I would keep my eye on QQQ since that's what's leading the market as of right now. And seeing if we go above that resistance at 316.67 that we ended up topping yesterday. All right, looks like we're breaking a little bit here. And now we're at 410 for SPY. So testing our short strike price for the call credit spread at the moment. So these should be going for about 40 cents a piece, maybe a little bit more. Oh, they're going for 46 cents, so they're overpaying for it right now. IWM also coming up 177 right now. You got that 177.14 resistance, and spot or QQQ is now at 317. So ended up breaking that resistance at 316.67 and headed on higher. And now the DAL is up 0.2%. So markets seem to be bullish right now. We'll see if we get a swing later on in the day. I don't think we have any news or Fed speakers today, so probably not going to change. Iron Butterfly 409, hedges at 410, 408, $11 max loss for 89 credit. Yeah, it's a very tight range. That's what's kind of hard about the tight ranges. You have to have it like exactly at the strike price, and even then, like, you're not going to get that much profit just because you can see these wild $1 moves in such a short time frame. So I think the wider you can go, the better it usually is, just because those outsides that you buy, those usually lose more value than something that's only $1 away with a strike price. But yeah, gold's pumping right now. QQQ is pumping. 10 years back to 3.4. So we'll see if we get a pullback for Qs after retracing up a little bit for the yields again. I think if the yields are what was leading the QQQ to go up this morning, it could end up pulling back some, but you clearly broke that resistance here. Apple is clearly up today, so lots of people feeding into buying up the big names again. Microsoft up 1.3%, so huge rally there. I'd be a little bit worried about it going into tech earnings, though, which is going to be next week. So we'll see how it shakes out. I think given more time, you would be bearish, but this week you might just end up keep on pumping. Still think we're going to close below 410 for SPY, but really depends, I feel like, on where QQQ goes. Now with the DAL up, if both of those are going up, then obviously SPY would gain that much more. Huge last couple of candles for SPY. QQQ now up 1.4%. That would be crazy if we ended up retracing all of what we lost on CPI. But that wouldn't be too unexpected since that is the top of the range that we've been in at 318.74. So we've seen, these dumps and then the pump pretty much every day. We've gone from one end of the range to the other end, from 314 to 318. Besides one day right here, we only did about half of the range. And the end of the range is 319 to the upside. Definitely pulling back on SPY this week. Maybe. I mean, we're at that, 412 resistance. So I think end of week, we're probably going to end up staying below that. 410, it's hard to call by the end of week tomorrow. But yeah, I would say it's pretty easy to say it'll stay below 412, but now we're testing the top of the ranges again. So got to stick with the ranges, and then if it breaks out, then that usually ends up spelling some trouble. Like yesterday, we fell below 314 for QQQ, and we had a pretty significant sell-off after that, down to a low at 312 in the after hours. So the markets are really watching these ranges very closely. Not really surprising, given that we've been in them for so long. Let's see what the airlines are doing now with the markets pumping. Delta is the one that reported this morning. It ended up bouncing at 32.45, so almost 32.50 for Delta. So the markets keep pushing this morning, pushing up. I think that 32.50 is going to be your support for Delta today. Forgot to close the 410 call that you had. Lost 300 for it on a call option today. I mean, if you bought a call option today, it would be doing pretty well, I would think. Unless you sold the 410 call. Obviously, that would be doing worse. I still have my call credit spread assuming under 410 today. Gonna keep on holding that bad boy in anticipation of the ranges continuing to play out. But yeah, wouldn't be opposed to testing the top of the range on QQQ at 319. I think it's probably a little bit much to regain of all of what we lost on CPI yesterday, but certainly in the realm of possibilities. The iron butterfly is losing it today. You close out of the call credit spread. I'm still thinking we're going to be below 410. Maybe at like 409.50 now instead of like 408 like I was expecting before. But I think we're just going to keep respecting these ranges that we've been in. You might see a little bit of trading action above and below it, but overall, I think we're just going to stay in that range. And we've tested these levels before at like 411 almost, before slightly above the range, with resistance right around 410.80 or so. So if you pull back again, wouldn't be too unexpected. And that's about the mark that we ended up pulling back at 410.80. They should be saved, yes. How do I approach the market? Mostly looking at news, which really hasn't been doing much to the price action as of lately. It's been more technical analysis based, I would say. So I would follow more looking at like RSI. MACD is somewhat important. And then something like volume profile would be pretty accurate just to see where people are buying and selling at. Let's see. So just adding a few important studies, not overcrowding your chart with a ton of them. But I think those would be the most important. Volume profile, and then just watching the ranges that we stick with as of lately. It's been, let's see, for the last 2 weeks of trading, it's been 406 to 410. Today we're breaking above it. We're in the range that we've tested before between 412 or 410 and 412. So we could end up sticking there. But my guess, we're probably going to stay within the 406, 410 range. And a lot of the trading volume, let's see, is at, the majority of the trading volume is at 408.95. So people could be starting to take profits here, or they could end up maybe leading it up to the 412.21 VAH, or what's known as the value average high. If you look up VAH trading value area high, sorry. So that's where you'll get some resistance. That's where we've got resistance before in the past month. And then everybody ended up buying at about 408.95. That's where a majority of the volume came in, at least. For today's trading action, you're looking at 411.40 for the VAH. You're looking at majority of the trading volume came in at 409.50. So if we end up pulling back below 409.50, you might get some more selling pressure there. What's the app that I'm using? Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade. It should be available on Windows. It's better on Windows than on Mac, actually. Let me remove this. So we're looking at 409.50. You're looking at 411.40 for the top maybe today. Right now you're pushing higher, but QQQ looks to be stalling out at 317.20. And yesterday the VAH was a resistance at 411.40. So we could end up testing that again maybe today. Currently at 410.70, so it's about 70 cents away. So this bullish price action persists with the RSI at 80. Wouldn't be too surprising to see that. Let's see, DAL. It's probably going to have some resistance at about 338.15 from this candle of significance. Starting at an open of 388.69, closing to 337.69. So $1 move. 50 cents would be like 388.20, I guess, would be your resistance there. Man, these call credit spreads are getting expensive. They're already going for 60 cents a piece, and it's trading at 410.80. So people are paying a lot for these call options right now. And that's part of my problem with credit spreads too. The risk reward for any call credit spread usually isn't worth it. The put credit spreads are a little bit better. Any bullish trade, it's a little bit better. Let's see. So if I assume it's going to be above 410 today, instead of below 410, I get paid. That's only 23 cents in credit. Really just not getting much reward on anything. The risk reward right now on everything is kind of skewed to the downside, or for worse, I should say, not to the downside. Risk reward, it would be to the upside since risk comes first. But with the VIX at 18, the credits that you're getting right now for call credit spreads, put credit spreads, it's just so abysmal, which makes it very difficult to trade these. Like I only got 25 cents or so in order to get that call credit spread. And that was when it was trading at like 409.30, so it only had to go up 10 cents for the 410 to be in the money. So hopefully we get a little bit more VIX action to improve our risk reward, but every time that it hits 20, it's been pulling back, and every time that it's been going to 18, it's been coming back up. So even the VIX has been caught in a range between 18 and 20 for, let's see, the last 2 weeks since March 29th. So very boring trading action overall throughout the market, no matter where you're looking, it seems like. All right, right, we're pulling back for Qs now. Don't see any resistance here, but we ended up pivoting at about 317.45 or 317.50 almost. We'll see if this is a substantial pullback or not at this 316.67 level. Natural gas is lower after EIA storage data shows down 2.4%. So looking at natural gas coming down, oil is still sticking at 83 a barrel. That's actually up. I think that the White House made an announcement that they're going to start buying oil at $82 a barrel or something like that. So with, that's basically a put option on oil, assuming that it's going to stay above 82 with all that buying pressure at that price level. And then obviously with the OPEC plus cuts that you've been seeing, I think last week, it's just going to put more pressure to the upside for oil prices. I think that with oil prices coming up now, it's probably going to make CPI a little bit worse next month, but it's a year-over-year reading. So if you're looking at April of last year, this was like 110 a barrel, 100 to 110. So it's still down about 20% a barrel for light sweet crude. All right, now not dipping below the 316.67 level yet. Got some support there so far. So let's watch if we pull back below it or not, or if we keep on pushing up higher. Well, looks like some dip buying action right there for sure. At least short term. We'll see if it persists or not. Maybe I could think about making an iron condor for SPY now between 410 and 412. Obviously 410 is cutting it pretty close. Could even go to 409 to play it a little bit safer. But right now 410, 412 was paying you 45 cents. Even that, I feel like the risk reward on it is not that good. Like you're getting a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio to assume that it's not going to move more than a couple dollars in either direction, or like $1 in either direction. The risk reward on anything is just terrible right now. And if you go one strike price lower at 409 instead of the 410, assuming we're going to be below 412, we're getting paid 33 cents. So even a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio there. Looks like QQQ is stalling out right now after getting the bounce at 316.67. You gotta love these tight trading ranges. 317 to 317.40. Hopefully SPY is below 410 closer to the end of the day. That would be better for the iron con or the call credit spread anyway than below 410 this morning. IWM is really pumping though. 0.9% now above that 177.14 mark that we closed a couple of days ago. But can't manage to hold 177.50 so far. All right, pulling back a little bit for SPY now, 410.50, but we did pull back to 410.20 before and ended up rallying right after that. So not sure we can trust it yet. Pull back to 50 on the RSI would be nice though. Probably not going to happen though. Usually whenever you're going overbought, you'll stay there for a while. We haven't been overbought the last couple of days though. Not for a prolonged period at least. After CPI you did. After PPI this morning you did a little bit. So I guess the rallies seem to be getting crushed in the last couple of days at least, obviously. Yesterday was pretty brutal for the market. But this time frame right here, when we were trading 4.950 to 412, you hung at like 60, 70 RSI for a good bit. All right, looks like QQQ is finally pulling back a little bit, testing that 316.67 mark again. So we'll see if we crack below or hold above. Let me see the volume profile for this one too. No, I don't want a screenshot. I want to go to the studies and add in volume profile. All right, so basically you topped at 317.50, which was the value high, and now you're pulling back to yesterday's resistance at 316.67. So we'll see if we crack below or not. And then if we go back and retrace to where everybody ended up buying, you'd be down to 316 here. But you need a pretty significant wave of selling volume, I would think, to get it down to that. Do I trade 0 data expiration? Yes. I've got 2 0 data expiration options at the moment. Iron Butterfly assuming 408. And then call credit spread assuming SPY below 410 today. So 2 0 data expirations ongoing today. All right, looks like QQQ finally broke the support. Could end up holding, but let's see. If we do start selling off past that, I would think that we would come to the 2-day volume high at 315.89. But first, you need to see a break of the 316.67 level, and then you'll probably need to see below 50 on the RSI to reach it. The DAL is still kind of hanging in there, though. DAL, the most volume came in right about where we're trading right now at 337.50. But the DAL doesn't get traded, DIA at least, doesn't get traded nearly as much as SPY or QQQ. Like the volume this morning is 700,000, 800,000 versus QQQ 17 million and SPY 17 million. What is the best strategy to play before earnings? I usually just stick with spreads. I'll choose a strike based on how I think that earnings is going to go. So usually I'll do a little write-up of what their earnings is expected to be, what their earnings has been in the past, like the last quarter, the last year. What has their average earnings been for the past 2 years? Then I'll make a judgment based on that and what industry they're in. If that industry is doing well, then they would do above average. If the industry is not doing well, something like tech, they would probably do below average. And then you compare that to Wall Street estimates, and usually I'll have a little chart up like I did for Delta Airlines. So my assumption, if they beat earnings, miss revenue, which is, if they beat revenue, miss earnings, which is what happened today, that they'll stay above 32.50. And that's just based on the price levels that I have. And, just a rough estimate, obviously. Not going to be totally accurate, but right now it's trading at 33.86 after bouncing at about 32.45. So caught that 32.50 support level that I was anticipating that it would stay above. SPY's at 410.20 now. QQQ retesting 316.67 again here. So let's see if we break or hold. Everybody seems to be wanting to buy above for right now. The bid is 316.75, so about 8 cents higher for now. Volume is increasing going into it. So if it decreases after we break 316.67, then we would hold below it, usually. Based on what's known as trader's remorse. Or I guess that would be reverse of trader's remorse. People would be okay with that trade. But if you see a amplified volume after, that would be trader's remorse, and then you would probably lead back above 316.67. It would be a false break. Typically, at least. But yeah, there's a lot of trading volume right at that price level there. Compared to other levels at 316.80 and 316.50. Doesn't seem to want to break that price level yet. Catching support twice in the last 10 minutes. All right, SPY's at 410.20. So if we catch this bid at 316.67, probably gonna have to get out of the call credit spreads for SPY or open a call debit spread for Qs. Maybe going to 317.50 or so. Again. RSI is still hot at 71 right now. So keep watching that. Right now, the 316 call for QQQ is going for 150. So that's your break even of 317.50. If you're assuming that it's going to keep pushing this morning. Now it's 160 a piece. So your break even's moving up. I think if we can break that 317.50 mark, then you'd be seeing 318, this 318.74, top of the range. But let's see, 162 each is what they're going for, or 160 a piece. This trading action just doesn't seem like it wants to go anywhere. It's sold off from 317.20 now. So these are getting cheaper. UVixie is down a ton today, 4.9%, almost 5% to 410 again. VIX trading at that 18 level is just killing UVixie. That time decay is really murdering it. That's why I'd much rather trade options on regular VIX than trading UVIXY. But I ended up getting caught holding the bag on UVIXY instead. Call credit so little for JP Morgan with earnings tomorrow. Let's see. JP Morgan. Let's go to the yearly chart. Probably going to stay below, my guess, 131 or so. So the pay for that is good. I would be willing to open that. Let's see. JP Morgan. Trading at 128 right now. So assuming it's not going to go up more than $3, you're getting paid about 24 cents, 25 cents. So it's an okay trade. Assuming that it's just going to stay in the range. You could even open an iron condor, assuming between 131 and like 125 or something like that. You'll get a little bit more credit out of it. Obviously with earnings, could make a bigger move than that $6 range, but you're getting paid 45 cents instead of getting paid only 25 cents for just the call credit spread. Do I only trade half the day? No, I trade all day. Usually the live sessions will end at about 11 o'clock though. All right, looks like we got some support roughly at 410 for SPY. Which translated to that 316.67 level for QQQ. It's not exactly lined up though. Yesterday the sell-off started at 411.50. It's a little bit higher than where we're trading for SPY. So SPY lagging, only up 0.6%, and Q's is up 1.3%. So it's up almost double in terms of percentages this morning. But the 10-year is still pushing back to yesterday's price levels. So I don't think that the QQQ trade, I don't think that QQQ is too promising to keep going up, but looking at momentum, that's telling me otherwise. You're having conflicting fundamentals and technicals. Seems like technicals have been more outweighing fundamentals and news as of lately, though. But yeah, that looks like a solid bounce off the 316.67 level so far. Hopefully we don't just get trapped in the range 316.67 to 317.50. But that's usually what happens whenever volume starts to slow down at 11 o'clock. less trading action going on, so less price movement usually. But yeah, you're saying call credit spread was so little for JP Morgan. I would turn it into an iron condor if you think the risk reward ratio isn't worth it. I think that the sell off recently is probably pricing in their bad earnings that's to come. So they probably won't go down a ton either. But I can't imagine that they'll go up on good earnings and bad projections for year end. All right, we're coming off that high for Qs now. Maybe we can flush here. Again, not too promising. These moves have just been so small. But now we are coming back on RSI at 62 now. So we're not super exuberant like we were at 80, which is good. It's a healthy pullback. And we're still getting that support at 316.67 again. Just killing time. Gotta love this market. The 10-year is now positive 3.422, but again, technicals seem to be overriding fundamentals. As of lately, at least. That can always change, depending on news and depending on how much volume. I feel like a lot of the low volume that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks has been driven a lot by algorithms, which are more technical analysis based. So if we're getting low volume today, probably going to be TA based rather than fundamentals and news driven. The volume hasn't been too bad so far this morning. First couple of hours, we've actually had a decent amount of trading volume compared to previous days. Yesterday, obviously, was CPI, much more important than PPI and jobs release or the jobs data that comes out every week. So, a lot more volume coming in than usual. So we could be trading based on fundamentals, but again, that 316.67 mark just doesn't want to end up breaking below it for you right now, at least. Every time we get close to it, it just gets bought right back up. So you're getting these tiny little candles. With no break in either direction. All right. Testing the resistance again now, 317.30. It's a pretty large candle. It could be a bullish engulfing. That might send us up. just hate the hesitancy that this market has right now between these two price levels. Let's see, SPY's at 410.70, so that's pushing up right now. 64 RSI, but it is pulling back from 76. So we'll see if this downtrend continues or not. Right now it doesn't seem too promising. It looks more bullish or neutral currently. Could open a put credit spread for QQQ. That might be a solid trade to make. Maybe assuming above 316 to hedge our SPY call credit spread below 410. If the pay is good, I'm sure it's with a put credit spread, probably not going to pay that much. Assuming above 316, you're getting paid 18 cents credit. So pretty abysmal again. Risk reward is just not worth it in this market. So hard to find any good credits. All right. Looks like we're pushing the highs now. Hopefully not to give them back up, but we'll see. If we do 317, 316 instead, set our max loss to 316, you're getting paid 27 cents a credit instead of 7 or 18. So you're getting paid like $10 more. To assume that QQQ would only drop like 40 cents though, it's just terrible. Terrible in this market. IWM is still sticking at 177 right now. Oops. And we just broke above 317.50 for Q, so markets could be pushing here. Either that or you're going to get some profit takers. We'll see. Hopefully markets make a decision here. We ended up going a little bit above it. Volume is descending though, after getting rejected. So my guess, volume descending after getting rejected, probably just going to stay in this stupid range. 316.67 to 317.50. Ugh. Gotta love flat markets. Theta Gang Delight. Oh, man. Don't tell me we're going to test 316.67 again. Please just choose one direction. Probably not. That might be a new low there at 317 though. New high, new low. So that could be a bullish formation possibly. Probably on like a very short time frame, like the 1 minute time frame. I would imagine that would be a bullish trend there. Starting to look bullish here, even on the 5 minute. But the trading ranges are just not letting it go anywhere right now. All right, the 316. Oops. 316 call is going for 160 again. So basically the same price that we were paying earlier. Thinking about opening that. I just want some sort of confirmation on these price levels. Pay for my gas these days. Yeah. Do I think put on Apple makes sense right now? It's trading at 163. Ended up topping at 163.70. So if you think that that's going to be the top today, obviously that would be a good position. But you could be looking at like 164.50 or so, 164.75, somewhere around there before you end up selling off based on where the volume came in around that range. So if people want to break even for it, they'd be selling it at 164.50. There is some volume here at like 163.18, but not nearly as much as up there at 164.50. I would say it senses up like 2% though. The likelihood of it coming back would be higher. But you've also seen, the year-to-date rally and all of the mega cap names has been absolutely crazy. So people want to keep speculating on the big caps going up, then could end up retesting that 164.50 mark for Apple. So I would probably be buying puts at 164.50 rather than right now. Thank you, BT. All right. Man, these these ranges. So pitiful. So pitiful. I wish we could just get some big catalyst coming out to make it move one direction or the other, but I don't think that we have anything big going on. Let me check my news app, see if there's anything hitting the wire. I doubt it. We got IMF talking inflation is coming down, but not fast enough, clearly. Let's see. Economy is slowing down, obviously, which will lead to the Fed to recalibrate their own policies. I think we would need a significant recession in order for them to revise their policies, but haven't had that yet. I mean, the unemployment rate is back to where it was back in December of 2021 at like 4%, so it's still historically low. So I wouldn't say that they should reverse policy yet. And that's kind of the problem with inflation. In order to get inflation down, you have to send up unemployment. At least with the Fed's current tools. They can only increase interest rates. Increasing interest rates means that companies are going to borrow less. They're going to grow their business less, which means that people are either not going to be hired as much or unemployment starts to go up if they're trying to start cutting costs for businesses. Especially if the cost of debt is going up and now they need to pay that debt cost instead of paying employees, then they're definitely going to have some employee layoffs. So companies with high debt would be more prone to layoffs. In a high rate environment. All right, new support seems to be 317 for QQQ. So maybe if we can slip below it, we'll head to 316.67. But right now, still seems like we're getting some supports. So 317.50 would be more likely, I think. Gonna watch for the retest of 317 again. All right, now these are going for 150 for the 316 calls. So now your break even is 317.50. So if you're assuming markets are going to go up, I think that could be a decent trade. Now, if you assume the break of the 317.50, obviously that could be a resistance. So I wouldn't put a lot of eggs into that basket yet. Looks like we're coming below 317 for a second. I think I'm going to place an order for 150 on the 316 call. but it does seem to be pulling back. MACD is the first leading indicator of a pullback with the crossover. RSI is still 62, so that's not really too promising for the pullback. And then with the 317 and 316.67 supports being so strong, hard to say that this would pull back. But obviously anything is possible, so we'll see how it shakes out. Maybe I could even buy these cheaper at like 135. Reduce my cost and my risk, I guess. That way I could flip them 135 to 150 maybe. But right now it seems like we're getting more sellers below 317 than buyers above, so probably gonna retest 316.67 again. I guess there's more trading volume at 317 now than there is at 316.67, so that's why you're getting a lot of back and forth here. So this is going to be your support, and then your next support again 316.67. Next resistance would be like 317.50, 317.40 to look for. But no decisive action yet. That could be your support. We'll see. So now I might end up having to pay 150 for these calls instead of 135 is what I was looking for. Let's see what SPY is up to. 410.60, a lot of trading volume right around this price level. So you could be retesting 411.25 or so. These QQQ calls are just fluctuating so much. They were just trading at 145, now they're 160. I just wasn't willing to pay the extra $10 for them. Oh, there we go. Back to 317, that high volume area. The DAL is still pushing 0.4%. So watch the DAO here. Looks like the DAO is gaining strength where QQQ is losing it for now. Still up 1.25, so still very strong. But the Dow was negative this morning, like 0.1%. Now it's up 0.4%, so it's up 0.5% from the morning. So a lot more buying pressure in Dow. And that usually happens whenever the 10-year is going up with 10-year 3.415 again. The reason being that higher yields affect, these are going for 135 now. But higher yields affect the high growth tech names that have been hiring like crazy and expanding their businesses with a lot more debt than the industrials and the DAL that have been around forever, like your McDonald's, Walmart, things like that have so much cash they don't need the extra debt. So that's why you're seeing the Dow improving right now and QQQ starting to deteriorate with the 10-year going to 3.417 right now, almost 3.42. We're just going right above and below 317 for QQQ. When it was trading down to 316.87, they're going for 135 on the 316 puts. So you're getting a good discount right below 317. And then as soon as it goes above 317, you're getting a good pop in the value. So if you expect it to keep trading in this range, you could just scalp like 10% per trade. Kind of wish I had gone one strike price higher with SPY, but I'm sure the risk reward on that would have been terrible, even worse than what I got. Probably would have been like 15 cents credit. I think with a Dow firming up, though, SPY would be more likely to rally here. So I think I'll take the loss for the call credit spreads. Maybe once we go above 317.50 for QQQ. But every time we get up there, it sells right back off. Very slow market. It's a snail's market. Hello, welcome. Not bullish, not bearish, but a snail's market. All right, now it's time for the scalpers to buy at 317 and then sell at 317.25 again. Gotta love the quarter trading action for day traders. Not a bad strategy, though. Just not my preferred strategy. I would rather have bigger moves for the market. I would rather assume that it would be above 317.50 or below 316.70 instead of just trading in that small range. All right, looks like we could be testing it here. Maybe. Still range bound though. It's like a 30-cent range that it's stuck in. $4.10.409 put credit spread for SPY is actually paying good right now. 32 cents to assume it won't drop 75 cents. That's probably the best risk reward that you're getting in the market right now. If you're assuming DAL is going to hold at 0.5%, and if you're assuming QQQ is going to keep rallying with above 50 RSI, I think that's probably your better trade than the call credit spread. But I just want to wait for a decision on QQQ first. Let's see. It doesn't seem like we're going to get it, though. And it doesn't break until it does. Let's see. Iron Condor for QQQ below 319 and above 310. You got a good range there. 310, certainly likely. 319, you could be retesting 318.74. So you might be getting pretty close there. But yeah, 310, I would say you're in the clear unless somehow we get some major news that ends up selling us off. But my guess, that probably won't happen unless there's some sort of black swan that I'm not seeing. But that was at the top of your range too, so you could retest it, but probably a rejection off of it would be my guess for QQQ below 319 would be good odds. I'm not sure what your credit was for it, but the odds would be in your favor there if we're just going to keep trading rangy. kind of tempted to say that QQQ won't break 318 with all this selling pressure building up at 317.30, but obviously you'd be betting against a trend with 64 RSI, so that's not in your favor. The credit on it is like 24 cents though. Ugh. I hope VIX rallies to like above 20 at least to get the risk reward on these trades right. Because right now they're just awful. Any way you trade it. Even if you trade bullish, the risk reward is like very minimal. Or not minimal, but high and against you. Now we're retesting 317 for QQQ. Maybe we can just assume QQQ between 318 and 316 today and do an iron condor $2 wide. That would be ridiculous if we traded in a $2 range, but all this price action so far this morning has been leading me to believe that's where we're going to be. Ever since 10 o'clock for the last hour and a half, we've been trading in that 70-cent range. And if you do the iron condor, now you're getting paid 33 cents credit. Jeez, man. Even that is 2-to-1 risk reward ratio for $1 in either direction. Nothing is appealing to me right now. The only trade appealing right now is just scalping QQQ between 317 and 317.30. With this flat trading price action, though, it is losing relative strength here. The first time it hit this price level, it was trading at 80 on the RSI, so descending RSI on flat trading price action. Could obviously pop higher to 80 again, but just need to get that break. Now the call credit spreads are going for 65 each. 63, so they're low in the ask for me. And again, we get rejected right at 317.50. God forbid we go above that price. All right, looking at closing the call credit spreads soon at like 64, 65. If it does break here. Every time though. Every time we get there, we just sell right off and stay in that silly little range. Now it's like 50 cents wide instead of 316.67 though. So now you have an even smaller range than we were before when it was 316.67 and 317.50. I wonder how many people use the volume profile and if that's why they're scalping it between those prices. Iron Condor, 35 credit on it. It's pretty good, I would say. 319, about a 2/3 chance. Yeah, I would say you got an okay credit for it. For tomorrow's expiration date too, so you have a little bit more time on your side for a move in one direction or the other. I'm guessing if you opened in the last hour, it's probably decaying some. At least a little bit. Alright, SPY's trading at 411 now. 411 and 317.50 for QQQ seem to line up almost identically. So either we can assume it's going to stay below 317.50 or finally make the break, but every time we try to break, it ends up selling. The calls that I was looking at are probably up a ton since it's trading at the break even now that I was looking at for the 316 calls on QQQ. RSI is standing firm at 65, so looks more likely to break the upside, but gotta get out of the range first. Alright, I'm gonna close these call credit spreads for SPY. Looks more likely to break to the upside for Q, so didn't get filled at the price I wanted. I hate raising my price, but that is the name of our game. Delta already reported airlines, Carl. And they did miss 25-cent earnings per share versus 28 expected. Alright, so if you get a break here, I would think this would be where it does, but let's see, now these are going for 65, so I can get a little bit of a discount. Maybe I can hold them to 60 for a better discount, but DAL is still up 0.5%. If QQQ can keep rallying, I don't trust this call credit spread based on technical analysis here. And your next resistance for SPY is all the way at 411.25, so another 25 cents up from right now. Based on these highs of yesterday and this VAH right here. Thinking of doing the Iron Condor for SPY now instead of the call credit spread. below 410. Maybe the new range now for today at least would be 410 to 412. Like we've seen a couple days in the last couple weeks. We ended up breaking it yesterday. The day before that, it ended up selling off too. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of people that want to hold SPY above 410. But I don't know, man. Just getting a lot of indecisiveness from QQQ, which is leading to indecisiveness for SPY. What is Apple doing now? Let's see. Apple's at 164. So like I was saying, could head up to 164.50. It's getting closer to that mark. Up 2.2% today. So that's why you're having such a good rally for QQQ. The big names for tech, the big tech names like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Tesla, Nvidia, I think they make up like 50% of QQQ or something like that in terms of market cap. So they have a lot of weight to them that they carry in QQQ. For SPY, I think the weight is like 15%. So there's still some weight for SPY that they have. But QQQ, they basically control where QQQ goes. What's the volume indicator you're looking at for 317? So this is the volume profile. It's what it's called. And all the trading volume for the 5-minute chart for the last couple of days has been at 317. So this is where peak volume is at 317. Well, the closest peak volume, obviously. The next peak is at 315.89 to the downside, and then there's not really much peak in volume after that besides 318.25. And then you're looking at the VAH at 317.50. So that's your resistance for right now, and then your support's at 317 from all the trading volume that came in at that price. We're testing 317.50 again here for Qs. So probably going to retest 411 for SPY again. I'm guessing. The the ask just dropped here to 63 a piece. I might actually be able to get out at a better price. Just doesn't seem to want to break 417.50 for the life of it on Qs. I feel like the hesitancy means that it's more likely to go down, but I mean, looking at RSI, you're still bullish. MACD is still going down slowly, but going down, but a long way from going negative. So still bullish MACD, still bullish RSI. So those two indicators are bullish. Kind of tempted to just do a 317 call if that's going to be our support on QQQ. That's not right. Jesus Christ, you're paying 80 cents right now to assume QQQ will be above 317. You're only getting $20 a profit if that's right. That's crazy. That's so expensive. If you just buy the 317 call, you're paying 90 cents. So you need it to go up to 318 to make a little bit of profit. You could even do like a straddle, I feel like, at 317. Assuming we'll finally break this range. You're paying 153, so you would need QQQ to either go below 315.50 with that support at 315.89, or go above 318.50, which would be close to the 318.74 range. So even that, you might only get like $20 a profit after spending $150. All right, we got rejected at 317.50 again. Now 317.07. So retesting 317. We'll see if we catch the support. 413 call credit for 0 data expiration. I would say that would be a good trade. I would think that the credit for it would be pretty low, so you are taking more risk reward. But yeah, I would say probably under 412, 413 would be a pretty safe bet for the day. But obviously you want to keep monitoring QQQ for that 317.50 mark, and then the top of the range at 318.75. If it ends up managing to break up past those levels, that would be my concern for the SPY 313 call credit spread. But it looks like we're finally pulling back here. 55 on the RSI, so we could finally go bearish. You're still looking at some supports at 316.67, so we need to wait to really confirm the bearish price action. But that could be finally your pivot. Maybe. I don't think that there's any news that's catalyzing this action, but let's see. FinTalk. Nope, no news on it. Just dropping based on technical analysis. We bounced almost immediately at 316.67 again. Jesus Christ. Gotta love this market. The 316 call is going for 150 again. So again, if you want to scalp between 316.67 and 317.50, you can get a good 10-15% profit trading back and forth between those price levels, I feel like. I wouldn't scalp though, just because I don't have quick enough hands. But yeah, we bounced almost immediately after we went below 317 and close to 316.67. We might retest it again. Getting a little bit more trading volume here, so could have some buyer's remorse. Or trader's remorse, I should say. Buyers and sellers. Or that could mean that we retest 317.50. feeling like either doing a call at 316 for QQQ or a call credit spread at 318. I think either of those trades have about a 50-50 chance of working out. Just with this price action since 10 a.m. So dreadfully boring. But hopefully we get the sell-off here. Shares of crypto are up. Let's see. Crypto stocks, I should say, are up. Bitcoin, I think, was above 30,000 still. After dropping below yesterday. Where the heck is Bitcoin? Usually they have the price chart on Google. Yeah, 30,400 again. So Bitcoin's still headed up. Release this weekend. The rate odds are now, it was 60% earlier, 65%, so rate odds are increasing again for 25 basis points at the May meeting. 411 was a struggle. Yeah, 411, and then for QQQ keeps bouncing at 317, so you're just getting some back and forth price action. That was pretty significant sell-off though, right above 411, almost at the 411.25. Now you're trading below the where the volume has come in. So if people want to cut their losses now, this would be the point at which they would do so, I think. But QQQ is still pushing, so doesn't seem promising yet until QQQ pulls back below 317. But you're just getting that 50, 60, 70 cent range for QQQ. Man, these credit spreads are so finicky. They go up so quick. They go up and down so quick. I wonder if you choose wider strike prices, if that helps to alleviate some of that fluctuation that you get. Maybe I can start to widen my strike prices, if that helps. But looks like we're still burning time, I guess. Probably just gonna keep burning time till this live session is over. Just gonna keep the live going all day. We're just gonna keep trading 316.70 to 317.50. Ugh. Terrible market. terrible market for anybody that wants to make a sizable profit. If they want to make 20 cents profit, they can do that all day long, though. All right, we finally broke above 317.50. Oh man, these got up real quick. All right, I'll cut the loss here. They're going for 66 at the ask. I might be able to get 65 out of it. Hopefully. Okay. Oh, my eye is itching me. All right, yeah. Looks like we're headed above it with this candle here. Not getting filled on the order. Might have to increase it to 66 instead of 65. Yeah. All right. Still not getting filled at 66 either. Jeez. These credit spreads are brutally high. Almost trading at 70 now. All right, I think I'm just going to leave the order in for 66. We finally broke above 317.50, so if we hold it here, QQQ would be bullish to 318.75, my guess. Not getting filled at 66 for these either. Gonna have to update the order to 67 maybe. I hate updating the order up. The bid ask is only 2 cents wide though, so the likelihood of getting filled would be higher. All right, 67. Oh, I think I got closed on one of them actually. At 67. So now we could probably go bullish on QQQ since it's above that 317.50 mark. Probably assume that it'll stay above the 317 support. Not getting filled on the call credit spread yet though. On SPY, let's see. QQQ above 317 today. You're looking at getting 20 cents of credit for that. 21 cents credit. It's about the same that I got for the call credit spread for SPY, so it's low, but your likelihood is better. All right, I think I got filled there. It's 64, 68. Still got the iron butterfly, assuming that we could pull back to 408 for SPY. So maybe by the end of the day we could pull back and realize some of that profit there. But let's see. $68 a piece. Closing options alert. Just cut losses for that. Just cut losses for the SPY call credit spread expiring 4/13 at 68. SPY 410, 411 strike prices. So right now we're at 317.50 again, so pulling back to 411 for SPY, so probably could have got a better price on it, but looks more bullish than bearish for QQQ. Based on MACD, based on RSI, based on that 317 support, I would think that we're more likely to retest 319 by the end of the day, or 318.74, than we are to pull back to the 316.67 mark. So 317 put credit spread, maybe you could add in a 319 call credit spread. But yeah, that's all the trading I got for y'all today, and I will catch y'all tomorrow at 9:30. See you, everybody.